once more on to WGNR, a YouTube channel brought to you by me and us and all of our lovely patrons. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Hobby Hangout live stream. This is our third installment of a weekly series, except for last week when we had to postpone the stream. But we are painting Swan from the Fallout Wasteland Warfare line of minis by Modifius Entertainment, and we are making some progress on this big old mutant bad boy. Look at that dump truck on this dude. He's ready to rock and roll. Thank you all for tuning in today. Let me know if you're here in the chat. Really excited to get going on another painting stream. Crasboo in the chat. Good to see you, Crasboo. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for showing up. Good to see you. Good to see you. Excited to get going on Swan again here. I think today's going to be the last day of the skin on him. I could probably do another session after today, but I'm getting kind of bored, honestly, of painting green super mutant skin. So I figured today we'll get going with the greens and the yellows, get some nice highlights going on them here. Hopefully we'll get through that, and on the next week we can get going on some of the details. I think we'll tackle the boat next. So maybe if we get through a lot of the skin today, we can start tackling that big old boat arm as we go. Tanner, stop looking at me, Swan. That's how I feel with this mini right now, because he's been staring me in the face for months on my desk. But this is why we're here. We're doing this project here today. We're doing these streams so we can get some projects off the pile of shame, or the pile of opportunity, as we call it. Mad's Destruction, good to see ya. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. One of our newest members on. I believe you just signed up in the old Patreon there. So thank you so much. I was just doing an updated list and I saw your name pop up. So thank you all for the support you've been showing the channel. I'm excited to get going. Crasboo, I'm excited to see him on the tabletop too. In fact, there's a motivation behind this project as well, because we've got a fun battle report planned that's going to feature Swan as, well, a behemoth, doing behemoth-y type things. I've got a couple 3D printed behemoths and proxy ones I made over the years, but this is my first official Wasteland Warfare behemoth, so I'm excited to put him to use, and we'll get that going in just a minute. Speaking of get that going, let's get some paint and jam tunes cranking while we get ready to get going. E Score P, good to see you, pal. How you doing, Dresden? Good to see you, pal. It's been a minute since we've seen you in the chat. Let's shake up some paints. This is real scientific. We're good. Before we get going, the inaugural sip of the paint water. Minty fresh. Let's get to it, shall we? So, like we're saying, we're going to be doing some skin. We're going to mix up pretty much 1-in-1 of the snake scales and this intense yellow from Vallejo and Army Painter, respectively. And we're going to get going on our highlights. If you're just tuning in, what we've done so far was an aggressive overbrush with gray and then white to bring out some of the highlights and the details for the shading, as well as some contrast paints that we're going to be using down the line. Using the underpainting slap chop method as was popularized on the internet a few months back for some of this here. But mostly we're doing it with good old-fashioned acrylics. That's what we're going to get going here. So we got our green, we got our yellow. I'm going to get real scientific, start mixing them up with just a little bit of either one. Gonna lean probably more like a 2-to-1 on the green first with the yellow, and then maybe have a more saturated yellow look to it there. I have a feeling this is really gonna pop, so I'm gonna be a little careful with the first couple strokes to make sure it's not too vibrant. Might be able to bring it down with the commando green that we use for some of the base here, but let's just play around. We've got some of our built-in highlights from where we had that white overbrush. So we're just gonna kind of go in over a larger area there on some of the muscles. Not bad, might be a little bright, but let's find out. Let's find out. Let's do a couple more little highlights here, water down even more. Can always add more. It's real hard to add less. Okay, that's a little nicer there. With a little more water down. Let's add a little bit more yellow into the mix. A little more putrid. Which is kind of what you want. You go, that's a little more Fallout 3 super mutant-y there, maybe a little neon, but let's play around with that. Okay. Yeah. I'm digging it. We're gonna go with it. We're not gonna think about it too hard. We're just gonna get going. Catch up on the chat here. Craig Steinhoff, another one of our lovely supporters. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Gotta say, when starting up these weekly painting streams, didn't know how well they would be attended. Yeah, if the regular, crew from our 2D20 games would tune in, and so far it's been a great cast of characters chopping in. So thank you all so much. Heath, hey, you made the stream. Good to see ya. There you go. Yeah, I know it can be tough for folks making all the different streams, what with time zones being a thing. But so it's always nice to see folks when they're able to make it, which is again another one of the reasons that got going on these painting streams, because they're a little bit earlier in the day. Hopefully catch a bit of a different crowd. And gives us all a chance to, talk and interact a little bit more while we're doing the, the live show, the 2D20 live show. It can be a little hard sometimes to engage with everybody because we're, telling the story while we're trying to chat. So this is sort of a nice impromptu, more casual hang, a chill hang, like the kids say. Dragonfire, new here, been watching Bat Reps, but super interested in Wasteland Warfare. Well, thank you for tuning in today. It's great to see you. Always nice to see new faces and friendly faces. Yeah, we've got, it's been a little slow on the Bat Reps lately. Don't worry, I'm fully aware. Nobody's more aware of that than me. But we've got some great stuff coming. To give you guys a bit of a behind the scenes, we've just finished on the new stream rig building, the new computer. So it took us a hot minute, and we kind of had to pause production on a lot of stuff because, well, we had to take apart the old computer and build the new one, and do the file transfer, and that it was only a few terabytes. No big deal, right? But that meant, short story long, that things slowed down on the production side of things. So we're getting back up. The speed's gonna be coming back up here. Got a new campaign, narrative campaign, Wasteland Warfare. It's gonna be starting up. Return to New Vegas, which is gonna be very exciting, featuring the NCR Bighorner Commandos that we had way back in the original New Vegas campaign. That one's been in process for a long time. I filmed that battle, the first episode of that, going on a year ago now, just to give you an idea sometimes on how long these things take. So there you go. But more battles coming is the short and the long of that. New Vegas, we got some Enclave BOS stuff coming, and also going to have another narrative battle one-off with which will feature Swan, but it's a little bit of a time warp retelling of the Fallout 3 Battle of Galaxy News Radio. And Swan will be making a guest appearance as the behemoth that breaks through the lines. But more on that as we go. That one's a little bit further off. But the New Vegas one should be coming in just about a week or two, if everything goes according to plan with playing catch up. So Can't complain. Kids have Marvel phase now, so painting various minis for Crisis Protocol. Nice. I love Crisis Protocol. It's been a minute since I've played a game, let alone painted a mini, but I'm excited to get back into it. Gonna have a game on the channel here sooner than later, so that's exciting. Justin's gonna come in and play Avengers versus my Web Warriors, which is very exciting because, well, Spidey. He's number one. Yeah, let me know what you're all painting today too. If you're working on anything, if you're doing any terrain builds or anything fun like that as we go. What else we got? Interested in Dragonfire XIX says, interested in the Enclave as a faction, but should I get the starter box first? Or should I buy an Enclave box? You're genuinely torn. Well, it's a good question. There's no right answer, so to speak, but I will say that the 2-player starter set is really good bang for your buck. Not only do you get all of the tokens, the hardcover, or not the hardcover, the softcover rulebook, and all of the instructions, some additional gimmies in there as well, but you also get 2 factions worth of minis right away. You get a squad of survivors, and you get a squad of super mutants. Now, of course, if you're looking to go Enclave as your main force, neither of those 2 are particularly useful, sure, but they can make for good adversaries, especially in if you're doing solo mode stuff. They work great for that and gives you some sort of right out of the box, good to go. But yeah, I tend to recommend the starter set as a place to start, go figure, because it does come with all of the stuff, right? And then an Enclave box after that is you're set up at that stage of the game. But that said, I also recommend go with what you want to do, right? If you're not going to paint those models in the starter set, if you're not, if they don't have you excited, then buy the Enclave box, paint the models, get going that way. The nice thing with Wasteland Warfare is that 95% of the rules, the rules and most of the units are available for free online. Now, of course, go and support Modiphius when you can. Without them, this channel is dead in the water. So support your local game companies. But money's a problem. Money's a thing. I get it. So that's 2-player starter set. It's great if you want all the MacGuffins and all the things, but you can download the rules for free as well as the unit cards. So that probably didn't help you with your decision paralysis at all. But if you're holding off on jumping in because you don't know which way to go, just find yourself an Enclave box, start building some minis and have some fun. It's hard. I'm hard pressed to tell anyone not to go for the faction that they like. And Enclave are great. They play very well. There we go. Can't wait to see someone play MCP, as for sure I'm getting some rules wrong. Yeah, well, you and me both there, buddy. You and me both, I score P. But we'll do our best. We'll get the little tutorial on the go sooner than later here, and hopefully it will answer some of your burning MCP questions, or more likely leave you with more. Keith, I really need to finish off my D&D campaign so we can start on my Fallout game. Oh, way too many TTRPGs, too little time. I can attest to that. We are, well, so the gang who do the live show here on Sundays, every other Sunday, we also have an offline D&D campaign that we've been all playing together for like 5 years, more than that now, I think, probably. And it's a great time. And actually, our good old Grant is the not overseer. He's a dungeon master in that campaign, and man, oh man, is it wild. But I feel your pain. We're the gang behind the scenes are in the middle of right now trying to figure out when we can get our D&D game going this weekend. So yeah, I feel ya. It's tough, and I'm playing in this Warhammer Crusade League now, and we've got this channel stuff on the go, and all of a sudden Baldur's Gate 3 comes out, and I have no time because they're all taken up by games, which isn't the worst thing in the world to happen. Here we go. You can see we got some nice sort of blocking going on here. Not the most even coverage in places because I'm trying to, work with a really watered down paint to sort of have it not be too saturated. But I think this is gonna do the spot here. Blocking in this sort of brighter color, and then come in probably with a wash military shader, a green, an overall green, just to kind of blend it all together. And then maybe some spot highlights as well. But I think this is gonna work. And if the wash doesn't blend in some of these harder lines, we can just go in with go back to that commando green that we had that we mixed with the brown for our base tone. Water that down to hell and make sort of a quasi wash out of that, which should tie it all together. But getting ahead of myself right now because we're still in that blocky stage where, this is similar to where we found ourselves with the brown at the very, very beginning. Looks kind of disjointed, but I think we're going to be able to tie it all together. And if we don't, blame it on the forced evolutionary virus. Speaking of which, well, not really. This is going to be a poor segue. But has anybody seen the leaked Fallout TV show trailer online? I got to tell you, gang, I am fucking jazzed. I'm just refusing to be a Debbie Downer about it. I've got high hopes. Will they be, will those high hopes get answered? I don't know. But whatever comes out of this show, I know there's some, Interplay diehards out there worried about the lore and stuff, but I'm so pumped. It's Bethesda's show. It's Bethesda's property. They can do with it what they want. I'm stoked. I want to see Walton Goggins as a goddamn ghoul. I'm so excited. But give a Google for that trailer if you can find it. It's a shaky cam hack job, but there's this scene. We've got to talk about this for a minute. There's a scene with the sandstorm, and then 12 fucking T60s or T45s walk out of the cloud. Oh baby, I felt something on that. It's good. They look good. They look really good. So I'm pumped. I'm really pumped. Catch up on some chats here. Craspu, what are the odds you could vlog your Warhammer League adventures? I'd love to watch some. I've been considering that, to be quite honest. It's a bit late in the game now at this stage because, we only have 2 matches left in this current crusade. But it's funny you mention it because I have been thinking about that. One of the goals of this channel, now, not when it started as a pandemic project and I was locked in my house with nothing to do and looking to kill some time, but now that things have, progressed, I'm looking to do sort of more stuff that's just that. The Wasteland Warfare, Fallout content, all that will always be the number one thing that we focus on here because it's what we like to do. It's the game we love. We love these, all of you folks. And honestly, it also feels like a public service in a lot of ways because there's nobody talking about this goddamn game and it's so good. So looking to branch out to some other things is a long way of saying that while still, staying faithful to, the roots, if you will, and also the viewers, right? Because you guys want to see Fallout stuff, and yeah, as much as I love playing other stuff, I'm cognizant of the fact that there's a reason, y'all are here, and it's that. But it's reassuring to know that that folks want to see more and different stuff as well. Because like the Star Wars Legion battle report we did, that was some of the most fun we had, me and Justin had playing, and even just editing, something new, right, with different music and Star Wars sound effects, and it was just a good time, right? And variety is the spice of life. So I'm looking at ways that we can, expand and add more and different games to what we do without taking away from what we're already doing, because that's kind of the trick. It's not like we're a big channel, right, where we have to worry about, if we focus on this content, then we're going to lose all this ad revenue because it's not going to turn out. Like there's some of that involved, because these videos don't make themselves, right? Quite the opposite. So yeah, striking a balance between staying true, finding new stuff, it's all happening, and it's all part of what we're trying to expand. My hope is by the end of the year to have at least one video of 3 other game systems on the channel, not including what we already have. So that would be MCP, some Achtung Cthulhu, and a Combat Patrol Warhammer game. So that's a really long way of answering your question of yes, I'm hoping to do just that. Because it's been a lot of fun. A very different experience than, because making the Wasteland Warfare videos and all that is a great time and fun, but, other than when we're doing it with the gang, it's mostly done in isolation. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to get back out to the tables and get gaming with some folks. Well, check on some chat. Ah, yes, it makes you happy about the trailer. Yeah, it's there's not a ton spoiler wise in there. You could see it and be okay. I think it's all of like 15 seconds long. But you get to see Walton as a ghoul for all of a hot second. Well, that's all I'll say, because if you're avoiding spoilers. But what else we got? Man, I'd watch y'all play poker. Well, Grassboo, thank you so much. That's really kind. That's really kind to say that. Then you know what? Then just for you, yes, we're gonna get that. Justin's been bugging me for get some Warhammer stuff on the go. I've been slowly building and painting him a Tau battle force, which I need to get back on. Only got 1 squad painted, but the goal is to get that painted and then get him down here for a Combat Patrol game against my Dark Angels. But one thing at a time, one battle at a time. Speaking of battles, let me know what, if anything, y'all are working on as well, because always nice to hear and see what other folks are getting up to. RC Walker! Hey, the big green machine. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are making waves and progress on the big greeny meanie. The greeny meanie. He's looking mighty nasty now, in the best way. Again, nice, just having these lighter areas that we sketched out earlier. Just make it that much simpler to figure out these highlights. I'm really excited to get working on the details on this guy, because pretty happy with how the skin's turning out, so I think that's really gonna just make this thing really come alive. in all of his mutated glory. Oh, yes. God, he is so beefy. He's so chunky. In other Fallout Wasteland news, y'all see, and actually gonna have a video on this coming out tomorrow? Friday. Tomorrow. I think tomorrow. But Matt Robinson, friend of the channel over on the Facebook group, spotted the first Nuka World Wave models on pre-order on Amazon. Like a solid month before they're expected to come out. I mean, they're only on pre-order, so it's not like you can buy them. But if I've got my timeline correct, which I might be slightly off now because I haven't heard any news in a while, but that wave should be coming, I think, October. It might be one of those released in September, available in October type things that Modiphius does sometimes. But like it's coming, but it's not coming yet. But they're out there. They are out there. I will, like I said, I filmed a quick, holy shit, it's happening, video today. That should be out by this time tomorrow. If not, first thing in the morning. I might just go and get that thing done. I might just put it out tonight after this is all done. We'll see. But either way, it's very exciting. It's very exciting because that is sort of the first opening signal that the Fallout Factions sort of side game. Now, side game is a bit much. The skirmish game, what's a complementary game system to Wasteland Warfare, is going to be coming soon. I want to say February. That sounds familiar to me. I can't remember exactly why. But the first model seen is Mason, leader of the pack, which is my favorite of the three Nuka World gangs. So I'm super jazzed to see that. But yeah, it looks good. He comes with two dogs, his two like little pet mongrels. And I think this kit might be super popular just for the dogs, because they're not your average like dog meat, like they're not just like a German Shepherd, but they're not like mongrels either. One's like a boxer, like a Doberman Pinscher, I guess actually, and then the other's like a boxer bulldog looking thing. And they look fucking hardcore. So cool. I see many alternate dog meats running around on tables when that pack drops. Nicholas Montgomery, how you doing, sir? Good to see ya. Just started listening to the 2D20 campaign. Fantastic. Inspired you to write a campaign set in Missouri. Well, that is very kind of you to say. I'm very glad that our stupid little show has given you a cause to make a stupid little campaign of your own. That's quite wonderful. I was actually talking with another viewer here just the other day, just earlier today actually, that they've incorporated some of the characters in our show into their campaign. Like Yuri is like a traveling caravaner who just like shows up and does stuff, and that's honestly amazing. Just unreal. So it blows all of our minds that anyone listens to the stupid words we say with our dumb mouths, let alone tunes in week after week to do it. So thank you so much, Nicholas Montgomery. And yeah, excited. Missouri. Don't know that I've ever been to Missouri. Actually, I may have passed through. But I hope the campaign goes well. And let us know in the chat if, well, unless some of your players are here, then keep it secret. But yeah, let us know in the chat what, if you've got any plot hook ideas or any, you know, BBEGs floating around. Always awesome to get new folks into the show, and always love hearing about what other folks are doing for their campaigns too, because it's so interesting. I find, you know, when people come up with ideas and plot hooks, I'm like, oh wow, that's so cool. I would never have, I would have thought of that, but I wouldn't have thought of it that way, right, or something like that. So it's always interesting to see what people come up with. It's also interesting, I find, when similar ideas show up in other, you know, in other people's campaigns. And it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we did something kind of like that, but it was kind of like this. That's always, I always find that interesting. Swanee boy, we are making progress. Nice thing with sort of how we're doing this blocking is that it doesn't require to be, like at this stage, you know, want to be careful because like I mentioned earlier, you can always put on more. It's hard to take it off. But at this stage, it's like it's coming together. The back, yeah, I went a little hard in the paint, literally, on the green. Should have had a little more yellow in there, but we'll blend it all together. We'll mix it. Besides, it's his back. Who's looking? Who's looking at his back? But we'll just keep going little bits here. And once we got some nice highlights, blend it together with a nice wash. And we'll be made in the shade for doing some details. But yes, very, very exciting times in the Fallout world, I gotta say. We got a show coming up, another skirmish game coming down the line. It's yeah, it's exciting times. It's exciting times. Oh, there's that Magic the Gathering Fallout set coming out soon. It's interesting. Like, for Bethesda, who's been so stingy with this IP in the past since acquiring it, it's kind of wild to see all the stuff that's not a Fallout game coming into the Fallout world. I'm into it. I think it's a good sign that, you know, that this, you know, niche game, not even, Fallout 3 was Game of the Year. But, you know, this game that's, you know, not a Call of Duty, you know, or something along those lines, is yeah, finding its way outside the video game sort of realm. I think that's pretty cool. Once upon a time, long time ago, myself and Justin got rather intoxicated one afternoon, and we came up with our own like TCG battle game for Fallout. It was bad, but it was all we had, right? This is years before, maybe a couple years before Wasteland Warfare was a thing. You know, we were looking for a way to do like a storytelling campaign, but a card game, because we couldn't think, because, you know, what can you do to represent, you know, characters in the Wasteland? Cards, that's easy. But yeah, it's really cool to see how much more stuff is coming out there. Becoming more mainstream, which I guess can have its positives and minuses, but I'm a chronically optimistic person, y'all. Campaign centers around the party being hired by eccentric old man to travel around Missouri to recover rare artifacts from pre-war museums and collections. Oh, we chatted about this, Nicholas. I believe you sent me an email last week discussing something along these lines, which I forgot to respond to. My apologies. If this is in fact the same campaign, it sounds familiar, but yeah. If not, then I didn't respond to somebody else entirely, who has a sort of similar artifacty sort of finding idea. But yes, this sounds very familiar, and thank you for saying that and for reaching out as well and for tuning in today. That's so great. We see RC Walker. Wife enters the basement. Basement tease. Her man play poker. Man, come down. We're just playing Fallout 2D20, New Vegas. Of course, that's all we're doing down here. It's no big deal. Just a bunch of grown adults playing with toys. That's what being an adult is in 2023. Enjoying all of the things you couldn't afford when you were a kid. So almost leaning entirely on the yellow now, which is playing really well off the green-brown mix underneath. Not so worried about his skin showing up underneath like all the ropes and stuff, like the brightest tone. I think it's gonna get pretty well distracted from with the ropes and whatnot, but you know, I don't mind that one bit. I don't mind that one bit. I'm gonna go on the back side, add a little bit more of the yellow, I think probably just the pure yellow here, with a little bit of the green mixed in. Just to kind of tone down. Is that even going to work? Yeah, it's blending it a bit. I think it just might be up to the wash to help us out there. Yeah. But that's okay. Oh, this is a weird angle. Real water down here. Oh, of course I put way too much on. Dry brush. Not a dry brush, but a dry brush. Just soak up some of that goop. There we go. Let's try that again, shall we? You can't even see where I'm painting because it's underneath his arm here. I can't even see where I'm painting. Which begs the question, does it matter if you can't see it? There we go, that's better. That's better. He's getting there. He's getting there, yeah. I mean, the nice thing was that because, you know, his armory Swan parts are white, it's, you know, kind of tricking our eyes a little bit to fill in some of the details that aren't there. Like a black and white photo kind of thing. But yeah, we're making some serious progress on this. Just have to do speed through the his arms here. His very beefy arms. And then the backs of his legs, I think will be in maybe a little bit more on his forehead. And we'll throw a wash on there and call the skin a day, more or less. More or less. Let's see here. Oh yeah, it's perfect. We're just throwing paint around, gang. Don't have to be too scientific. Don't have to be too scientific. Just pushing paint around. little bit of highlights. There we go. But yeah, the Nuka World stuff I'm pretty pumped on. Haven't haven't had any new raidery type things. Well, I guess the forged count. Other than the forged, haven't had any big raidery type things since wave 2, 3, which is a long time ago. A very long time ago. So that'll be cool. I'm pretty excited for factions too. There's some chatter that oh, it's gonna take away from Wasteland Warfare. I really don't think so. The game system itself is what's taken the development. The models, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but considering the models for both games are the same scale, I don't think they'll be releasing individual, like, this is for Wasteland Warfare, this is for factions. If I had to guess, they'll rebrand the boxes of minis that you get to just be Fallout miniatures that are compatible with, this is my guess. Otherwise, I feel like they're kind of splitting this, crossing the streams. If they were a different scale, like Star Wars Legion and Star Wars Shatterpoint, then I think we would get, exclusive, proprietary releases for each game. But I have a feeling that they're just going to kind of move everything into one box, and on it it'll just say like Wasteland Warfare Factions. But again, this is just me thinking out loud. I have absolutely nothing to back that up. And Mad's Destruction. Anyone else want to see vehicles in Wasteland Warfare? Absolutely. I think it would be super cool to have the Highwaymen from Fallout 2. Although, as has been mentioned on this painting stream in the past, Fallout 1 and 2 stuff, it's just not going to happen, guys. That is my inkling and my understanding. From what I've heard from John, both officially, John Webb of Modifius, both officially and just having chats, they just don't have the juice. But the Highwaymen would be unreal. And rules for vertibirds. They've got the model. It's a 3D print, but it exists. It should have rules. And it wouldn't be that much of a stretch, to be quite honest. There's kind of quasi-vertibird rules already in the Caught in the Crossfire mission campaign pack. One of those scenarios has a vertibird circling around, doing vertibird-y type things. You could shoot it down. It's got health. It's got attacks. Seems like a no-brainer. But I do know Modifius has been holding off on the big models. Believe Liberty Prime and or the Elder Scrolls Dragon sort of put a bad taste in their mouth due to the fact that it took, I don't know, 3 years for rules to come up with them. To be fair, it was kind of a Bethesda thing, my understanding. They don't necessarily like having those type of things in the game, which is one of the reasons that the master model has just never materialized. I don't know why. I think they might be afraid of Modiphius taking license with the canon. Although I don't know why they would be afraid of that. So vertibirds, the highwaymen, even those old APCs, right? That you see scattered around through Boston. Like, yeah, sure, make one of those work. I don't see why not. They teased the master when the game was first released. Indeed they did. Indeed they did. It was one of the very first things that was, hey, look, we're doing a thing. That Modiphius put out, along with Riley's Rangers were in there. There was a couple sculpts that I've yet to see have like disappeared. Like some of the gunners were originally in there, but they have like completely changed. There was a lot of stuff that took years from that initial like, hey, we're Modiphius, we're making a game. Stuff started to come out, and since then, particularly the master. Was a case of, what do we call it in the retail business? Overpromise and underdeliver, which is what you never want to do to your customers. So they put out this thing, this teaser saying, hey, like, we're going to make this game. Here's the fucking master in his Vault Tech chair with the machine guns and everything. Get ready, it's coming. And the legend has it that Modiphius, Bethesda then came back and said, hey, we can't have the master around. We can't have these like big important story whatever characters allegedly walking around the game because people can change the story. Again, this is what I have been told. And is one of the reasons that Liberty Prime allegedly took so long for rules, because they would get shut down by Bethesda saying, no, he can't do that. He needs to be able to do this, or no, he can't do that because it breaks the story, or whatever it is, right? It's a fucking tabletop game, man. And like, if I want to break your lore in game, I'll just jump onto onto my console and do it there, right? So anyway, again, this is what I've been told. We did get Frank. Yes, Frank was a good one, but the master in particular, and Liberty Prime, allegedly, is what I've been told are the reasonings that they won't show up. Also, units that are static. Like the master again, right? Like, he can't move. He doesn't move in the game. He's very much a locked in place thing. So apparently Bethesda has some gripes with including that too. Short story long, I've been told through the grapevine that the master will never happen. I'm hoping that I'm wrong on that, because I think, again, overpromise and underdeliver. If you show the thing, you better make the thing available. If you tell us Liberty Prime is going to have rules, you better come up with rules for them. Because how often do you guys go on Facebook and see somebody posting, Master win, Master win? Anyway, at any rate, we digress. Gang, I think we're in the money here. I'm still not loving what happened, his sort of upper back, his lower middle back. I guess I've done boo indeed, mass destruction. Boo indeed. Again, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong on that, but I've been told not to hold our respective breaths on it. So, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there you go. The good news is, don't tell anyone from Modiphius I said this, but the Vermilion Miniatures Master is still out there if you want to try to find it. That's all I'll say about that. So, to try to tone down because I went a little too hard with the greens, the bright green on his sort of lower back there. It doesn't really mesh with the rest so much. I'm just gonna mix up a really, really watered down mix of this Commando green and use that as a bit of a sort of tie-in. See if that sort of wash can kind of tie that together a bit. Try to mute it. Might have to do a little less water here. Let's try that. Yeah, that's all right. Not gonna worry about it too much. It's the back of the model. Just a little bit to tone it down. Then we'll do that wash. Yeah. It's looking a little better all around, I think. You're just gonna go in with a little bit of it not watered down. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of that brown too. Oh, what do we got here? So, we already did Vermilion made a model of the Matsuura on Etsy. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. What do we got going on here in the chat? Heath, how much does a mini like Swan go for? Anyway, good question. He's one of the pricier ones. Let's take a look and find out here. Wasteland Warfare. Swan. I think he's like 80 bucks. Canadian. There you go. Or American, so like 100 bucks. Give or take. He's a big chunk of resin. He's a really big chunk of resin. 100 bucks Canadian. Sounds about right. Just mixing in a little bit of that brown we originally used too on this little sort of dulling wash, because I really went way too hard with this green on the first couple of strokes. But that's fine. This brown will help tie it in a bit. There we go. That's looking a little more even. And then with that green wash, I think we'll be made in the shade. Already there, that looks a little bit more uniform, eh? He's gonna go from bright to dark as we go down, so it doesn't completely pop the bubble, I don't think, but. There we go, make that muscle pop. Flex, Swan, flex. There we go. A little bit more yellow on his highest ridges here. All those bumpy bits. He's so bumpy. He needs to go to the dermatologist immediately. Got a serious case of mutant eczema. Yeah, but Swan is one of the more expensive, if not the most expensive, Wasteland Warfare model, aside from Liberty Prime and the Mirelurk Queen, which are two that I still have yet to add to my collection. Almost threw down on a Mirelurk Queen the other week. but thought better of it in my bank account. She's kind of like the last sort of thing in my Mirelurk collection I need to get, but maybe after Swan, she'll be my next big mini project. In not Swan-related painting news, got a lot of other stuff to get on the go. Got a bunch of boxes staring me in the face of the Capital Wasteland wave. I need to get those done for some battle reports. Who's got the time? I will admit, on top of it taking a while to get our production back with the new machine, which is now running, which is amazing. There's also the old added trick of Baldur's Gate 3 coming out, and I was like, oh, it was my birthday the other week. I'll pick that up and try it out. Now I have to like actively be like, no, don't go playing video games right now. You got other shit to do. It's so good, you guys. If you're D&D fans, it's phenomenal. Justin just got started on it last night, and it's a great time. But I think, guys and gals, we are in a good spot with Swan's skin. We're gonna bust out that wash, and once that's done, probably do like another quick round of highlights with just the yellow. Might even do a sort of light selective dry brush to bring back some of that yellow tone. Because once I throw the wash on this thing, unfortunately, that's pretty much it for this stream, because it's gonna be all over this bastard. And it's gonna take a while to dry. So that being said, before we go ahead and do the wash, I think, because what time is it here? Yeah, we've only been going for an hour, so maybe we'll do sort of one more quick step here before we get going. I think I'm gonna bust out. Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick dry brush on just sort of more of a test, really, on the anchor. I'm gonna bust out some metallics and do a bit of mixing and see what might want to use for a base tone on that. Because like I said, once put the wash on, can't really do anything else with the skin, and it's gonna take half an hour to dry. So might as well make a little hay while the sun's still shining. Because he's so big, once I get the wash on there, I'm gonna have to be pretty select with it. Just throwing it all over the place and just sitting him and letting him dry, it's all just gonna pool down because he's friggin' massive, and that's gonna be a lot of wash. So that's a long-winded way of saying I'm gonna bust out this little dry brush here and try a very quick dusting with some gunmetal army painter mixed with a dark gray. Is there anything in here? Nope. Necromancer's Cloak. Am I out of dark gray? I am. I'll have to go with a light black instead. So we'll go with uniform black. Just a teensy tiniest amount. Just a little bit there. And bring in some metallic. Nice trick with metallics is to mix them with a non-metallic paint. Especially at the base, to get a bit of the sheen and shine and still give you something to sort of layer up with. A little bit more silver, a little less black. Yeah, okay. Got more of like, all of a sudden went from like a lead belcher to a Steel Legion kind of thing. That's not bad, actually. We're going to get our little tiny makeup dry brush. $4 in a set from your local Shoppers Drug Mart. Get it a little bit wet. Dry it off. Again, dry brushing is a bit of a misnomer. It's damp brushing. It's slightly moist brushing. Let's see here. What else we got? Oh, checking with the chat here. Nicholas Montgomery asks, how do I feel about Modifius discontinuing special mini bases? Yeah. You know what? I'm kind of torn. I'm of two minds about it. I enjoy basing for my minis. This wasn't always the case. It used to be the thing that I disliked the most when it came to painting. But over the years, it's grown on me. You know, one of those practice makes less than perfect type things. So on one side, I'm like, yeah, okay, I like making bases. I'm fine with that. Makes bases all the time. No big deal. But in another way, it was kind of one of the things that made the line unique in a way. You know, there was always some griping about like, oh, you know, why did certain model has to have certain base? But I mean, it doesn't really. You could swap the bases. You know, I've done it a lot on different models in a Wasteland Warfare kit. Oh, I think this model looks cooler with this base, so I'll just swap it out. With that, so yeah, I mean, if it's supposed to be a cost-cutting measure thing, haven't really seen that come to fruition. Boxes all look to be about the same price, but I think more than the cost-cutting is more about the design time. You know, if you've tuned into any of the Modifius streams, you know, where they do the reveals and talk about, you know, some of that stuff, one of the things that they do mention is the development pipeline, and how tight it is. It is not, you know, they've got, you know, it's not GW where I'm sure they've got, you know, dozens of people working on dozens of different things. There's a small team on their 3D printing, 3D sculpting, you know, team that's doing this stuff, and not having to do, you know, these detailed, intricate bases will allegedly open up the development pipeline to an extent. How much? I don't know. So again, I'm of two minds about it. I don't see it being, again, you know, it was billed a bit as a cost-cutting thing, and I think it's going to be more about the pipeline than it is of actual costs, which is too bad. Because Wasteland Warfare minis aren't cheap. Like, people rag on GW and shit, and like, yeah, they're expensive, but it's only getting pricier. So yeah, if we do see, you know, a bigger reduction in price, I'll be very happy about it. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I understand where it's coming from, but I'll miss them. I will, you know. But yeah, I see talking there as well. Third-party stuff, yes, as well. Yeah, and I mean, they're out there, right? I mean, there's entire companies that, you know, make 3D printed bases and things like that specifically for, you know, for conversions and the like. So yeah, it's too bad, but it's not the biggest thing for me personally, just because like I say, I do like basing these days. So yeah, but I can see, especially, you know, if that's not your cup of tea, how that would be kind of annoying. Or if you're like one of those like real completionist people, and now like all of a sudden you've got like two models with like a generic base and like two models with a scenic base, and like you just can't handle it. I could see that happening too. I could see that happening too. RC Walker, I'm quite okay with that, to be honest, as I put all my minis on neutral. Oh, that's right. I've seen your stuff on the acrylic, the transparent ones. Those are cool. Which, you know, I've got a whole stash of 32 millimeter generic bases for exactly that reason, right? You know, if I want to rebase somebody, or got, you know, old model from like a D&D model. I've used a lot of D&D WizKids models in our Skyrim campaigns because they're about the right size, give or take. Throw them on a clear, transparent base. It's the right size. Boom, they're game legal, right? And also, you know, those little clear, transparent bases, they work great if you want to gussy them up. You know, little sandpaper, some PVA, and some sand. Boom, you got a scenic base. There we go. Yeah, I think that that sort of dark metal there adds a little bit of a sheen to that. Should be something nice that we can play with. We're gonna rust the hell out of this thing. Yeah, like we're gonna bust out the oranges and like the blues, and we're gonna get a really cool patina when we decide to do that. That is the plan anyway, with a lot of these and a lot of those. And some sponges. But getting ahead of myself, I was more curious to see what, if anything, this would help bring out. And yeah, I think it's yeah, give us an idea already of sort of what the details are going to look like. And yeah, again, just, you know, order of operations. You know, you're about to do something that's going to take you away from the model for, you know, or actively painting the model for a long time. Just get it done before you slap on the wash. Which is what we're going to do right about now, actually. So yeah, we'll get this aiming to go another, what is it, 10 after 6? Yeah, we'll probably go to about 6:30 here. And I have I was about to say I have a sleeping cat who's about to be hungry, and like clockwork, she wanders up from her nap. Hold on, I gotta let her outside one sec. Go on, baby. Go on. Go on. Go on. Like clockwork. Animals. Animals. Anyway, let's go on to the wash, shall we? Which will be probably the last thing we do here today. While I'm getting this ready, let's catch up on some chats. Matt's Instruction says, sad to see the bases go. I thought they were most convenient and cool. Most convenient is for sure. Yeah, just having it all there. It tells a little cool story. Some of them have been great. I really loved what they did with Baker, with the gunners. Having like the big bell tower, like the clock tower, not clock tower, what's it called? Bell tower, yeah. Having the bell tower bell on his base, that, because he's sitting up in the bell tower with the mini nuke, like that was really smart. Slag, his base with the little bobblehead on it that you find in the Saugus Ironworks. All kinds of cool stuff like that, right? There's also the matriarch had the Giddy Up Buttercup on it, which was really cool. And I believe that was a little nod to the painter of the same name, Giddy Up Buttercup, who used to do, I think might still do some box art for Modiphius. So I think that's where that little play on words, not play on words, but that little sort of Easter egg came from. So it's sad to see stuff like that. It's not gonna be showing up anymore, right? But you know, it's just an opportunity for us as environmental storytellers, just like a Bethesda scene, to come up with some stuff on our own. But yeah, it is too bad, I gotta say. It was a pretty cool thing, right? I mean, you know, you're playing Citadel bases, right? Or Modiphius bases in this case, like, boring. But oh well. So we've got our wash here. It is an Army Painter military shader. It's like a dark green, light brown, somewhere in between. You can see it right there. It's very sort of like, what's like British racing green, maybe? That's a thing. Old Jaguars. But let's get going here. And I mean, we're gonna kind of go somewhere in between a spot wash and a full blanket. I'm gonna again play around with this back here. Try to get it sort of on the higher areas. On the higher areas and where sort of the commando green edge starts, but the brown edge stops, if that makes sense. And I mean, I don't know if y'all can even see that much definition through this camera, which odds are you can't, but it makes sense to me. So what we've backtracking again, what we've done is do smaller and smaller areas with brighter and brighter colors. So rather than just sort of douse them all together, trying to sort of tie together the most clashing areas while leaving out the ones that are kind of blending themselves, if that makes sense. While also not trying to get this to pool anywhere. Which is why you have another brush. To soak up the excess. Oh, getting too in close here. Gotta do the old swapperoo. But yes, I gotta say, I'm really excited for the next couple of months of content and stuff. Now that the War Rig fundraiser is all done, it's all built and ready to go, and thank you all again so much to everyone who kicked in, donated, to all the patrons, to anyone who's shown any support to this channel is amazing. But without you folks, we would not have been able to do any of that. So a huge thank you again to everybody who donated, because it's done, it's built, it's running this show right now. Yeah, we fired it up for the first stream on Sunday, and hot damn, did it work. And yeah, the all the behind the scenes issues that you folks never get to hear about or know about, there were none of them. There was none of them. Everything just worked. To quote our Lord and Savior Todd Howard, it just works. So thank you all so much. And it means that now we can get back on the production and the editing side of things, which is great. As mentioned earlier in the stream, we've got that Return to New Vegas campaign. First episode should be out in 2 weeks. Only took me about a year to edit that one. I mean, I haven't actually been editing it for a year. I've been editing a million other videos that I put ahead of that. But it's coming. It's going to be a settlement mode campaign. I think the way it's going to run, we're going to do like 3 episodes, take a small break, another 3 episodes, take a small break, and kind of keep it as like a running campaign on the channel, rather than, like some of the smaller narrative ones that have been like 3-5 episodes and then done. I think this is going to kind of be like a rolling, continuing thing, as we keep going. So that's exciting. Other battle reports coming. I need to, now that I've finally got it in my hot little hands, the Capital, the Citadel Command box. I need to build myself a Sarah Lyons for the Battle of GNR, not WGNR, battle report, which good old Swan will feature in as. He will be making a cameo as the Fallout 3 Super Mutant Behemoth. What else we got? Enclave versus BOS. That's going to be an interesting one because it's not going to be your typical Enclave versus BOS. I'm going to use some of the new boxes from and new units from the Capital Wave. But sort of stick to, there'll be a couple familiar faces in there, but gonna try to make these lists and these forces pretty well out of those boxes, which are slightly different, especially the Enclave, because they don't play quite the same because they don't have that Enclave training rule. So that'll be an interesting one, kind of like a little more narrative, a little more fluffy than just, hey, let's put 2 competitive lists together. So that'll be fun. And oh geez, what else? Oh, new Skyrim series again coming up. We are going to go vampire hunting. Very excited to get back into some Call to Arms games. It's a different speed for both filming and editing than the Wasteland Warfare stuff, and it's just a nice break for me. The videos don't do nearly as well, nowhere near as well, but I mean it's kind of like a for me thing. I enjoy the game system. Again, it's been a narrative running campaign on the channel for a couple years now. It's just fun. So I'm excited to get back into more Skyrim. And as mentioned earlier, we will, probably not until the fall though, finally get a game of MCP on the channel as well. Justin's Avengers versus my Spider People. Web Warriors. So that'll be a lot of fun. And yes, and that quick, there'll be the video tomorrow or Friday, talking quickly about that, the leak of Mason and his pack mongrels, which is super exciting. Love Nuka World, love the pack, and yeah, it just means that Fallout Factions is just a little bit closer. eScore P, will MCP be 17-point teams? That's a good question. Probably, just so we can have some fun with the lists. Maybe 15, depending. But it's going to be more, again, we're going to do it kind of more as a, introduce the channel to the game type thing. So I think we'll probably have some fun with the lists, have some fun with the map. Maybe, tweak the factions a little bit depending on who's coming to play. See, I'm not too sure, honestly. But I do believe that the Deadpool taco truck will be making an appearance one way or another, just because that's the fucking coolest scenery piece. And I've been putting off painting it. I've got it like ready to go, and it's been sort of on my shelf of, hey, paint me, for a while now. So I think I gotta bust out the airbrush and get that bad boy done. Also want to do another Legion game as well. We were talking about doing an all Jedi battle, doing like Episode 1, Duel of the Fates. Get some Qui-Gon, well, Obi-Wan, type thing. But yeah, so we're with these sort of like other game system things we're doing or planning on doing. Yeah, trying to have a bit of a narrative flair to it as well, rather than just how to or a real competitive game. Just kind of feels, we like the narrative, right? The dice and the cards tell the story. So yeah, I think it's kind of fun to do them that way when we try something new. Like the Endor battle was a ton of fun because we came up with a thematic list. We had the thematic terrain. Like it just felt cool, right? Like we were cracking Empire, we were cracking Jedi jokes. Like it was a good time. What else we got? Oh, Please use Hydra Bob. Yeah, Hydra Bob's good. Like, when he's not blowing himself up. Bob, Agent of Hydra. Just a great character overall. Oh, there's that screaming cat. I know, I'm coming, I promise. Kids today. I swear P, I hate painting large areas, doing the cars, truck, and now daily bugle is a chore. Yeah, those cars were tough. Those cars were annoying. That was before... Actually, I had an airbrush when I think I picked up that starter set, but it was before I was really confident with it. I think I did not know what I was doing. So I ended up using acrylics and like contrast to try to get those. It was a chore. Those big flat areas. Yeah, and of course I had the brilliant idea of painting one of them as the taxi, right? So it's just this giant yellow block. Fucking horrible to paint. I have that car somewhere. I think I like tucked it away in the deepest corners of my terrain boxes because it's not good. Yeah, I went with red and yellow. It's bad choices all around. But yeah, the taco truck's up next. I got it spray painted black, so now I just got to get in there with the airbrush and do some highlights and some details, and it should be good to go. But yeah, Bob is great. Had to make sure to put all those extra little tacos on his base. That's so fun. Okay. Yes, sweetheart, I know. You're so hard done by. You haven't eaten in all of 2 hours. I know, it's rough. See what I have to deal with? You don't even know how good you got it. You were living in a barn when I found you. You know that? Yeah, I know. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. No respect. I got no respect. Well, would you look at that? Well, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, gang, but we have a super mutant with super mutant-y looking skin. I gotta say, I ain't mad at it. Now, wash has really pulled it together. We'll see how it goes when it dries. It might still be a little bright in some spots. You can see like the kneecap there. That sort of bizarrely shaped thigh muscle. But yeah, I think another little bit of blending or another wash in some of those areas, if it's necessary. Again, we'll see. Because once, right now everything's popping, right? Just because we've got a black and white canvas. And so everything's popping even more than it might when it's all said and done. But we'll see, because yeah, we are in great shape now, as long as it don't completely bugger it up when it comes into the details. I'm enjoying it. Kind of dark wings, but yeah, it is kind of like. I'm almost liking how the dry brush worked on the Swan. The Swan bits, I have no idea what we're gonna do at this stage in the game. I've got a pretty good idea for more or less, how I'm gonna start tackling all the different parts of this model, except for the Swan. Yeah, traditionally with feathers, I mean, being a Dark Angels player, I'm used to painting some feathers on some fucking helmets, but I don't know that normal thing's gonna work on this. Normally just do like a gray, sort of some black lining, leaving some gaps, but yeah, it's gonna be tricky. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to give that some thought. But we are off to the races. Corbin Bear, you looking a little green, Swan? You feeling okay? No, old Edgar Swan is feeling a little green around his gills, and then some. Actually, I was doing some reading on. I was reacquainting myself with Swan's lore yesterday, actually, of all things, getting ready for this stream. And man, what a fucking sad story. Doesn't pay to work for the Institute, folks. Just remember that. Anyway, we are in great shape, folks. We are looking great. I'm excited to get the but yeah, the feathers. Now that you mention it, like we might not do too much. We might not do too much on them because I like how that black is looking, right? But it will probably be the last thing we do because it's going to involve a lot of white. So we got some time to think about it. And like you say, it kind of looks cool the way it is. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we'll deal with that when we get to it, because I'm calling the skin minus a couple touch-ups done, at least for these purposes. So that's great. But we're gonna move on next week to the boat. I think that's where we're gonna go next. Then there's not a whole hell of a lot, left to do. We've got the diaper, which that'll be pretty easy. Probably just do it as a red. Keep it real simple. Maybe some contrast paints, some highlights. Leave it at that. We don't want it to be the focal point, right? And then the anchor, which is gonna be great. That I really want to be. We're gonna spend some time on that anchor, and try to really bring that as a spot that your eye wants to go when you look at this model, along with that face and whatever in the heck we do with the boat and the Swan. But gang, we're gonna leave it there for now. I've got a cat who needs food. I got a human who needs food. His name is me, and we're gonna go from there. But thank you all so much for tuning in for week 3 of our Swan Paint-a-thon. We'll be back next Wednesday to tackle that boat. Yeah, not a whole heck of a lot going on this channel. Not this weekend. It's not a show weekend. We don't have a 2D20 stream until next Sunday, so not this Sunday, but we will have a new video coming out. It should be tomorrow, probably tomorrow afternoon. I just need to do a couple quick edits and it'll be good to go. Talking about the Nuka World leak, which popped up on Facebook today. On Amazon it popped up actually, and then was posted on Facebook. But yes, Maxon and his dogs are coming. So we'll have a video talking quickly about that, also tying into what we kind of already know about Fallout factions. So that should be tomorrow. Latest case will be Wednesday morning, bright and early, but I have a feeling it'll be out probably midday tomorrow. So yes, there we go, gang. Thank you all so much again for tuning in. Go ahead and check out last Sunday's episode of Home on the Rage, the part 2 of the Fistful of Neutrons mini-series, mini-story that we're telling. If you haven't seen episode 1, we're having an absolute fucking blast with this 3-part series before we get back to Kansas and Justin jumps back in the Overseer's chair. So go check that out. Stay tuned for the big video tomorrow. And other than that, we'll be back on Wednesday for more painting, more fun. And yeah, stay tuned because as always, WGNR will be back. Bye.